Kakadosh Boker Or Shavua Tov Daf Yomi Masechet Batra Daf Tzadi Amud Aleph. Okay, we are on 98. The Gemara asks, what exactly is an uchla? So an uchla is echam mechamisha beravia. It's going to be one fifth, right, of a ravia of a kav, of a quarter of a kav. Okay, fine. Now the Gemara says, uvmidat alach. Right, we're talking about liquids. We'll say hin v'chatzi ahin shloshit ahin revi'it ahin velog, right, v'chatzi log revi'it shminit v'cham mishmona mishmoni v'zeu kortov, and that's a kortov. So again, these are all just the different measurements that we're talking about. Ahin is 12 log. Chatzi ahin is 6 log. Shlishit ahin is 4 log. Revi'it ahin is 3 logs. Right? Log is 6 beitzim. Chetzi log is going to be 3 beitzim. Revi'it is a 1.5 beitzim. Ushminit is going to be 3/4 of a beitzah. And v'cham mishmona mishminit of a log, that's going to be a kortov. So ask the Gemara, v'le'avi nami kabaim. Why don't you do kabaim also in midat yavesh, which is going to be shosha kabin, and it's going to be kav mechza. So he says, Ati lachlife betarkav, which means that you might mix it up with a tarkav. So we never wanted to make the different measures that you might come and start making mistakes. So in the bottom there, you have all the measurements. You see the se'ah in the beitzim. Se'ah, tirkav, chetzi tarkav, kav, then you're going to have chetzi kav, rova kav, toman, chetzi toman, uchla, now in the lach, and then you have the beitzim. So in the lach, you have the different ones as well. This is a yavesh, meaning the dry, like the dry measurements. And then you have the lach, which is going to be the how do you call it, the wet measurements. You need the measurements for like the salt for the liquids instead of the solids. The solids are midot yavesh and midot lach. So for example, whenever I talk about a hin or a log, it's always a liquid. Whenever I'm going to speak about a kav or things like that, or se'ah to the kav and all those things, it's always going to be a solid. Okay, alma. So you see from here, tau in shetilta, that people could make a mistake between, right, the shlish of the midah gdola, which is basically 2/3, right? Yachiv, so kav nami don't have it. That is la'achlufe bechatzit kav. Don't do a kav because you make a mistake with a chatzit kav, right? So he says, ela, but rather kabaim. Why don't we do kabaim? That lechlufe bechatzit kav, because you can make a mistake with half of a tirkav, right? So he comes and he says, which is going to be a kavu mechsa, which is going to be 1.5, which that's going to be the smaller one, okay? Meaning the mistake is going to be between the 1.5 and the 2, not between the 1 and the 1.5, okay? Right? So he says, Alma, so you see from here, Tau insher riva. People will come and they'll make a mistake for a quarter. So don't make a chetzitoman vuchla. We're trying to understand, why do we specifically make these measurements? Why don't we make in the middle? Meaning, even nowadays, you have for example, you have a pint or a pint, I think they call it, right? Where you have a liter, and you have a half a liter, or you have 2 liters or 3, but then you have a gallon, right? You don't do, so you have a gallon, you have a half a gallon. Why don't you do 3/4 gallon? Why don't you, so it could be, but maybe it's not called a gallon, maybe it's called a pint, or maybe it's called, meaning there's different measures. And the question is, why do we do the different measures? So Papa says, whenever things are very small, people don't make a mistake. Meaning the smaller the measure is, the easier the people are not going to get confused and not going to make mistakes. They're more accurate. Okay? Fine. Next we come and we say as follows. Right? We're speaking about now, right, as follows. Shlishitahin urviitahin. La le'aveh. So he says over here, the third one, right? A third of a hin and a fourth of a hin, we don't do it. You're not allowed to do it. Now he says, now why not? Now, if you're going to tell me you're not allowed to do it, now why not exactly? So he says, because we're not going to suspect the right. So he says, once you're in the Bet HaMikdash, they didn't make a gezerah. Yeah? So they don't make a gezerah. Okay? So he says like this. He says, right, but Mikdash Nami Ligzor, so also make a gezerah also in the Bet HaMikdash. So he says, Kohanim Zrizim. Right? He says, the Kohanim, right? He says, Kohanim are Zrizim. And since the Kohanim are Zrizim, so therefore, right, they're not going to come and they're not going to start making mistakes. Okay? Fine. Okay. Says the Gemara. Amar Shmuel. Shmuel comes and he says, En mosifim ala midot yoter mishtut. You never add on the midot more than a 6. Velo ala matbea yoter mishtut, or not on the coin also more than a 6. Mistaker, and if you're going to gain, ali saker mishtut. This is incredible. If we would actually apply this nowadays, all the stores would go out of business, right? Because you're saying it's 17%, right? The profit margin nowadays, right, is usually much more than that. So imagine, right? But okay. You're not going to add on the midot more than a shtut. My time, what's reasoning? He says, if it's going to be because you're going to come up and you're going to put up all those prices, shtut namilo, so don't do it also shtut. But the entire reason is because of ona'ah. To have a bitul mekach, that it shouldn't be a bitul mekach. Remember that when you're going to come and you're going to add an extra 6, more than a 6, it becomes a bitul mekach. The Amar Rava, and Rava comes and he says, Kol davar shebemidah, anything which is going to be in the midah, v'shebemishkal v'shebeminyan, afilu mipachot migdei ona'ah chozer. Meaning, this concept of ona'ah is only in a thing which you sell. But if you're going to come and you're going to measure, so imagine right now I'm going to measure something for you, and I'm going to tell you it's a pound, but I gave you a pound, I gave you a little bit less than a pound, and then you come to me, hey, I bought a pound. So no, sorry, but it's less than a 6. You just measured it. Measuring, there's no such thing as a shtut. The shtut is on something that I'm going to sell you a can of Coke. So instead of selling it for 25 cents, I'm going to sell it to you for whatever it is, 30 cents or whatever. There's a concept of ona'ah. But if something is a weight or measure or things like that, even less than that, there's already going to be ona'ah. Okay, that's why he says, Kol davar shebamidah, that you're going to measure it, or mamishkal, you're going to weigh it, or b'minyan in numbers. Right? Imagine right now I'm going to come and I'm going to sell you 100 eggs. I give you 99. So listen, it's less than shtut.
Meaning they don't give you an opening to...
Right? It doesn't exist the concept of ona'ah. Even less than that is going to be already ona'ah. Ela, but rather, do not have the pseida l'tagara. He says there shouldn't be a pseida to the tagad. The tagad is in the middleman, that he's coming and he's doing that. He says, so right? He says like this. He says, we're talking about over here the schuma gadol that you're allowed to make. So we don't want you to lose the keren if you're going to make a mistake. And therefore the tagad is the middleman, which is intermediary, the one that's selling in the middle. Right? So he says, we don't want him to make a loss, but also we don't want him to start coming and making so much money. So he says, zabin tagara ikre. He says he's buying it, right, and he's selling it. He says it's only to be called a tagad, right? Obviously he's going to make money. Meaning the middlemen will always make money. There's no such thing as a guy that's intermediary. He's coming taking whether it's from the wholesale, right, down to the whatever it is. The middlemen are always going to make money. So says the Gemara, but rather Chasta says Shmuel ka'ash kach v'darash. Really, be'emet, Shmuel found the pasuk, and the pasuk it comes and it says ve'ashekel 20 gera 20 shekalim 5 ו-20 shekalim 10 ו-5 shekel hamane yiyu lekulam. Which means the maneh is a tziruf of all the ones together, which come together to shishim shekalim. Okay, this is talking about the maneh of the kodesh. Okay, so therefore, right, maneh says the Gemara. One second. We have to understand this pasuk. The pasuk says, what exactly is a shekel? You have esrim gera. Now it says it's going to be esrim shekalim, 5 ו-20, so 25 and 20, and then 10 ו-5, then you have 15. So if you have 20 plus 25. Right? And then you're going to have a 7 and 15. So it's going to become the 60. So he says that's the maneh. So the maneh is all of them together. Okay, which that's the shekel. So he comes and he says, 1 second. Mana matan v'arba'in. He says in the manah you're going to have 60 shekalim, right? Which is going to be 240 dinarim. He says, we know that it's not true because you only have, right, in the manah, you only have 100 dinarim, right? Which is going to be 25 shekalim. So what's going on there? But we're going to learn from here in 90 in the Tzadik Amubet, 90b. We're going to learn 3 different halachot here. Shmamina, we're going to learn halakha number 1. Maneh shel kodesh kafulaya. The maneh of kodesh is double the regular maneh. Meaning it's not 25, it's 50 shekalim. That's number 1. Ushmamina, we're also going to learn from here, mosifim el midot, that during the times of Yecheskel, they added on to the midot. So therefore the maneh of kodesh was different, right, than the 50 shekalim to 60. It wasn't 50. It was actually 60 because they added on. One more time. We had 25. Right now, 25 is nothing to do with 60. How do you get from 25 to 60? So we first of all said, the 25 is not 25, it's kaful. It's double, it's 50. Because maneh of kodesh is always kaful. Number 2, also what we learned, they always added on. So instead of coming and adding on, instead of coming and doing the regular, which was 50, they added on and therefore became 60. But you don't add more than a 6. So therefore it becomes 60. You add on to 80. No. If it's 50, you could only add on to 60. Ushmamina number 3 also, shtut al milebar. The 6th that you're going to add on is only going to be milebar, which means the extra that you're going to put on, the extra 5th that you're adding, is going to be on the outside, not on the inside. So we're going to speak about the 6 to 5 and not 7 to 6, just like we find also, right, by many, many times. Okay, fine. A story to do with this. Okay, Rav Papa Bar Shmuel comes and he says like this: Hakim Kaila Bar Tlata Kafize. They instituted in the city, right, a certain midav shlosha kfizim, which is 9 lugin. Amru le the Chachamim said, Shmuel must be midot yoter mishtut. You're not allowed to add on more than shtut. That's 6 lugin. So if you're going to put 9 lugin, that's a third. That's not a sixth. That's double. Samalu, he told him, Ana kaila chata tekini. He said, I put a numida, and therefore I didn't add anything. And therefore he comes and he says, right? He says what's going to happen is that the people are not going to make a mistake because since it's a numida, so therefore nobody's going to come and make such a mistake, right, in his place. So Shadre le Pumpadita, they came and they sent in Pumpadita, velo keble, but they didn't accept it. Shadre le Papanya vekablu, but they sent it to Papanya and they did accept it. Vekarule Rus Papa, and he was called the Midah of Papa, right, because he actually accepted that Midah. Meaning, let's say right now they're going to come, instead of doing a gallon, they're going to make a new measure, and it's going to be more than a gallon, or more. Because here in America, it's the gallon. So if they accepted it, this is what they're going to do. Fine. Siman. This is Perot and again, this is the mnemonic, is going to be in brackets. We learned in the Braita. Perot. When we're talking about that, you're going to fill up the perot, right, in order to come and to sell them afterwards for more expensive. Or the people that they lend out with rebit, with interest. Matine efa, or the people that they come and they are me'avet the efa. Mafkir sharim, the ones that they come and they do price gouging. Aleima katuv omer on them, that says in the pasuk, shinu zot ha-shoafim, evyom l'shvid ani ha'aretz, lemor matay yavor ha-chodesh v'nashvira b'shever, ve'ashabat, niftecha bar laktin efa l'adil shekel, u'avet mozne milma, nishba Hashem igon Yaakov mishkal v'netzro masem. Meaning, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is always going to remember their actions, and he doesn't get mechila le'olam. Those are powerful words. That he never gets forgiveness. That's a very, very, very powerful words. Okay? Otzre perot. What do you mean otzre perot? Who are these otzre perot? So Kigon man, who are these? Rabbi Yochanan says Kigon shabtai otzre perot. We're talking about shabtai otzre perot. That means he used to come and he used to get all the perot when it was very, very cheap, right? And he used to sell them to the aniim afterwards for much more money. So imagine, I go to the shuk, I buy everything. It's cheap. All of a sudden, there's nothing in the shuk. Supply and demand. There's no people need. Now I'm going to sell it. And when I sell it, I'm selling it for more money. Right? So therefore, what happens? Right? So therefore, no, I'm selling it now for more money because now nobody has. So I could pick up the price and I could do whatever I want. So that's, no, because he's buying it cheap in order to do that. So that's called Otzer Perot. So the father of Shemuel, he used to sell the perot, he used to be Kufar Shara Mudam, which means at the beginning of the Ona, just like during the same time, which means the Mechira Shara Mugdam, which was a Shara Zol, and he wouldn't come and wait them, he wouldn't leave them by him in order to pick up the price. Shmuel Berei Mashele Perum, he used to actually leave them right by him, and then he used to come and sell them later on, after they used to come, when it was already more expensive, at a cheaper price. Meaning these were tzaddikim, that they bought it. You're right, they bought it at that price, and they're still selling it at the price, but the difference is they're selling it towards the end of the Ona, the end of the season, which technically they could pick up the price. And now I'm selling it at a cheaper price. So Shalhu mitam, they said from Eretz Yisrael, Tava de Abba midavra. He says, Tovi maaseh ha'av mimaaseh haben. It's better what the father did than what the son did. Because remember, he sold it, right? That's what he was saying. What happened was, he used to come and used to sell the fruits, right? At the beginning already, right? For the cheaper price. So therefore he comes and he says, so one second, what? The father is better than the son? What's going on? My time I was reasoning. Tara de Ravcha, right? Ravach. What does that mean? According to what the father did, right? He says, since the mechid of the shuk, right, is the Revach Hazol, right? Betchilat Ona from the beginning, right? Because of the perot. So therefore he comes and he says that's going to be for the entire year. He says the Maaseh Ben was not to be motzi the perot, right? He comes and he says at the beginning, right? And therefore, because obviously there's going to be much less, so therefore he comes and he says it's going to be a different halacha. Amar Rav comes and he says, Adam et kabo leotzar. A person could come and make his kav, which is the chelik, his chelik, which is going to be a small amount for an otzar, right? Why? Because it's such a small amount, so therefore it's going to be okay. Okay? Meaning that it's such a small amount, it's not going to come and start causing price gouging. It's a kav, it's a small quantity. A small quantity. Tanya nemihachi, right? We also learned in the Braita. אין עוצרים לפירות דברים שיש בהם חיי נפש, כגון ינות, שמנים וסלטות, אבל תבלין כמון ופלפלים מותר. He comes and he says this, you're not allowed to come and you're not allowed to make, or you're not allowed to keep the perot for you, whether it's going to be, which they make חיי nefesh, which is basically wine, oil, or flour. But tavlinin, kamun, pilpilin, all these other types of spices and everything, you're allowed to. But one of these words that you're not allowed to do it, you're not allowed to store them like that in big amounts when you're taking it from the shuk. But if you're taking it from your own field, you could always do that. For 3 years. Erev Shvit to Shvit to Shvit. Meaning, I'm going to come and I'm going to start buying fruits and I'm going to start keeping them by me. Well, why? Because it's Shemitah. During Shemitah, obviously, even the year before Shemitah and the year afterwards, I need it. Don't even do one kav charuvin. Because you're going to come and you're going to start causing a lot of price gouging. Again, this is all the concept of also about the hurricanes and all the other things. That basically, when it's going to come times of trouble, you're going to come and start, doing all these things. It's a problem. That's why they tell them that from the beginning they should already start stocking up. So therefore, they already know that just in case something does come, they already have everything there. Elmaleh Rabbi Yosef Chanina lefuga shameh. Says Rabbi Yosef Chanina to puga shameh. Puk etzol pere. Go and take the fruits of shalosh shanim. Erev shvit shvit and motzei shvit. Okay, fine, because that's what we just said. You're allowed to for the 3 years. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned to the Braita. El motzim pero meretz Yisrael. You're not allowed to take out fruits from Eretz Yisrael. Varim sheish behem chaye nefesh. Things that have chaye nefesh. What does that mean? That you need. What is that? For example, wines, oils, and flour. The opposite. Take it out. You know why? It's not good because wine causes too much kalut rosh and chatayin. People, they come, they go to Hilulot, they start drinking. Then what happens? So he says, get rid of it. Take it out of Eretz Yisrael. Just like they're not going to take out from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz Aretz, so too you're not going to take out from Eretz Yisrael to Surya. But Rabbi is going to be matir mifkaria lifkaria, from one place in the Gul of Eretz Yisrael to another place in Surya, and from there we're going to continue.